Well, you know what, guys? I've been at work since the game. Driven 145 miles today. And it's about, 1:05 in the morning here. I'm just sitting down to kind of, I don't know, record a news video for the morning for you guys in this morning. And you know what? Look, I know we didn't lose. I know it was a draw. But it still feels like, I don't know, just something not right. You know, something rankles with me. Something just feels a little bit empty inside, a bit angry, a bit frustrated with the whole situation from yesterday's game against Aberdeen. And it was just, wasn't great. Was not great. And it's just another example for me of this team letting not only themselves down, but letting the fans down again, letting us all down with their performance. And it's just not right. And it needs to stop. And there's something, I don't know, to me, there seems something fundamentally wrong with this team in terms of, when it comes to a game that actually really genuinely matters, when it's actually on the line, when it's a game that's got something riding on it, there just seems to be something missing, something lacking, and it's not right. And I think the problem is, I think there's one too many people in this team that we are carrying. I think there's one too many people in this team that have become so preconditioned to not delivering, so preconditioned to not pulling it out when they need to, that it kind of becomes second nature to them, and it's kind of a learnt response in a way that that it's the way it is. That when you need to win, when you need to go out there and play, they just don't. I don't want to use the tag serial losers or serial bottle jobs, but it is kind of a little bit like that to some extent. Lundstrom, Barisic, Goldson. There's a little bit too much of a preconceived inferiority complex, shall we say, and it needs to be overcome. And if it can't be overcome by those players need to be moved on, and we need to look at how we overcome that and, who we bring in to change the mentality. And I'm sure Philippe Clement saw today and was frustrated today with certain individuals and how they played and what he saw from them. I genuinely think that he was not happy with that. And look, he didn't say as much in his media interview, but he's not going to come out and throw the players under the bus. Philippe Clement is a very clever manager. He's a manager who will not come out and directly quote players or directly say that players are to blame or directly slaughter his team or directly throw his team under a bus. That is not who he is. That is not how he behaves. And so we're not going to see that. What goes on behind closed doors, I don't know, but I'm damn sure there's certain players that have been let know that is not acceptable, and that is not the standards that he wants at this team. He says he wasn't very happy with the first 10 to 15 minutes. He says that Rangers weren't sharp enough in the duels, and we know how hectic it can be here, talking about Pitodri, but we took total domination of the game and we had far the better chances. And we did have some good chances. I wouldn't agree that we had domination, but we did have good chances. We hit the bar twice. Keller Roos pulled off a couple of good saves. And, realistically, with a bit more cutting edge, we probably do win that game with a little bit more fighting in there. You can kind of see this. He said everybody pushed until the last second to get this deserved point, and even the 3 points, that's the mentality I wanted to see. I know from experience this season is a marathon, and he's right. It is a marathon. It's not a sprint. One swallow does not a summer make. One result does not a season end. Billy Dodds, our former Rangers player, did say that in his estimations, that was the poorest performance under Clement. But he would be pleased they kept going when they were 1-0 down. It's a positive Clement can grip onto. There is something building at Rangers. They are digging in when they need to. And it's certainly something we didn't see under Michael Beale. That when we went behind, when we started to lose games, our heads went down and they kind of gave up a little bit. And I think this is a difference with Philippe Clement. He doesn't accept that. He will not accept players giving up and surrendering. He will not accept players just quitting on him. And that's positive. That is exceptionally positive. And his comment at the start of his opening, was he was totally not relieved at that game. He was, in fact, disappointed. I think that is exactly what you want to hear from the manager. You don't want to hear that he is accepting of a point away at a very poor Aberdeen team. Yes, Aberdeen did do okay, in portions of that game, that they're pressing their transitions, and they did play well in portions. But at the end of the day, a lot of the issues that we brought, that allowed them to do that, were brought onto ourselves by Rangers. It was not brought on by Aberdeen's quality play. I don't think they particularly raised their game today. I just thought that we were poor in patches in that game, and let them off the hook quite easily. I mean, if you take Bojan Miovski's goal, it was a fantastic finish. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be totally one-eyed here. It was a fantastic finish. Jack Butland, who was phenomenal yet again, had absolutely no chance with that Miovski finish. Miovski's through, he picks his spot, he puts it away. He's a good striker. He is a good player. He's probably the best striker on that pitch. And I think if we had Bojan Miovski today, we probably would have won that game. I think there's a lot of games that we would win if we had Bojan Miovski, if I was being absolutely honest. But, Aberdeen are not going to sell him to us, are they now? But I think, one of the things you can pick up from that goal we conceded to Miovski was the absolutely appalling defending of Balogun, Goldson and Barisic, and Tavernier to a lesser extent. I didn't think Tavernier was as bad as the other three, to be perfectly honest with you. But, one thing we need to get into perspective is this. That back four that played today have an average age of 32 years old. Tav's 32, Connor Goldson's 30, Balogun is 35, and Barisic is 31. They are all the wrong side of 30. They are all getting old. There is a need to refresh that defence. If anyone thinks that is a long-term solution for this team, that James Tavernier, Connor Goldson, Leon Balogun and Borna Barisic are a long-term solution, and they are happy with that, then they need to, give their heads a bit of a wobble, because they don't know what they're talking about. Absolutely do not know what they are talking about. These four cannot go on as they are. You look at that defence, and its average age is 32. They are painfully slow at times. They are painfully not up to the task. Now, I'm not including Tav as much. I thought Tav did well today. I thought Tav played quite well today. So I'm kind of ruling him out of the criticism here. But Goldson and Balogun, Balogun was probably the best of the two. Goldson looked painfully slow. He looked off the pace. The way Miovski just ran off him and ran past him and left him for dead was worrying. It really did show a lack of anything there, and that's concerning. And I just think, it is a need to go out and get some centre halves. The two centre backs I think are needed, one in January and then one in the summer. I don't think you're going to go and get two in January. That I don't think is possible, but certainly one in January is needed. A younger, quicker, speedier, no nonsense centre half. Someone who can come in and make a difference straight away, not someone who it will take a couple of months for them to get into the swing of things. They need to come in as of now, because I'll be honest with you, you look at our back four, our four centre halves we have, or five if you include Leon King. Leon is still learning the game. John Suter's probably, John Suter has his moments where he turns off and lets people run off him, and jumps under balls. Balogun is not getting any younger. He's probably the best of the four. Connor Goldson is starting to look his age now. He's starting to lose a step of pace, which he didn't really have to begin with. And Ben Davies, as we know, is not really up to the task. So there really is a need, I think, to refresh that defence. Yes, we can talk about the attack and the attack not being clinical enough, and we will talk about that. But the defence, for me, needs a major rehaul. And you look at successful teams, you look at teams that go on to do things and be successful in the modern game. They build from the back. They've always built from the back. The great Forest teams that won the European Cups under Brian Clough, was built on their defence. The great Rangers teams under Graham Souness built from the back. The defenders we've had through the ages under Souness and Smith and Big Eck and Advocat. You look at it and we've had, the likes of Goff and Amaruso and Butcher and Stevens, Arthur Newman. There's been some absolute quality at this club, and I've only listed a few there. If I sat and listed that, this pod would be 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours long. It'd be ridiculous. But just listing some of those guys there, Goff and Butcher, for example, absolute no nonsense defenders, quality. Now to go out and get someone of that skill and ability nowadays would cost you somewhere in the region of 70 to 80 million. So I know that's not realistic, but we do need to look at the defence, and we do need to make it younger and quicker, because this defence is not up to the task. The way that Miovski and Sokola, with that chance that he missed, that Jet Butland pulled off a phenomenal save for, you've got to say, again, it was worrying how easy they ran off our players. I mean, fair credit to Tav, again, a penalty. we can debate the penalty all you want. And, Barry Robson obviously kicks off and says that it wasn't a penalty, it was weak. Chris Sutton says Connor Goldson died, but as we know, Chris Sutton knows absolutely jack all about football, and then refused to comment on the fact that a Celtic player did exactly the same the day before. But, it's different when they're wearing green and grey, isn't it? It's very different, of course. It is Chris. Yes, Chris. Chris Sutton is just someone who has absolutely no credibility in the game. He really doesn't. He is an absolute tool. Absolute tool. He was a crap footballer. He had one good season thanks to Alan Shearer. That's pretty much it. So, it was a penalty. I think, Barry Robson, Chris Sutton, all of them, they need to look at this central issue is not the fact that Goldson went to ground, not the fact that it's another penalty to Rangers. They need to tell defenders to stop pulling bloody shirts. That's what it is. And Barry Robson can go and remonstrate with the ref all he wants at the end of the game and wag his little finger. But he needs to have a word with Garterman. Tell him, don't pull shirts. Simple as. You do not... Look, I think I said on the video yesterday, when you're learning to be a defender, and I was a defender as a kid, I wasn't particularly good, but I played. The thing you taught straight away is do not hang on to your opponent. Do not pull his shirt. Do not push him. Do not shove him. Do not grab him, because the ref will blow on and give you a penalty against you. It's simple, but it seems that some professionals can't grasp this. And people talk about Celtic and Rangers getting all the penalties. Well, they are teams that attack more than anybody else. So yes, I think there is a natural thing that we're going to get more spot kicks, and the fact that we get fouled a lot more by the hammer throwers that we play in this league. Overall, yesterday was not good enough. Yes, should we have won? Probably should have won. I thought Tom Lawrence had a very good game yesterday. Got some good passes. I thought that shot that he had where he got over the ball, foot under it, backspin on it, hit the bar. Very unlucky, obviously, not to score. And I thought Tom did very well. Tom was man of the match for me. And I think taking Tom off was a mistake. I would have left Tom Lawrence on. I know he's not 100% fit, but still get 90 minutes in those legs. Look, we had the Balogun header that hit the bar. We had the Balogun header that was saved. We had chances, certainly had chances. But, Danilo to yesterday, look, you can criticise him, of course you can. Perhaps he didn't take his chances when he had a couple of chances, but he was being pulled deep far too often. He was being pulled out wide far too often because there just wasn't enough there to create for him. Todd Cantwell, for me, is not a right winger. He looked poor on the right wing. You cannot play Cantwell out wide right. That is just not his position. Todd again had another poor game. For me, Todd, if he's not going to play up to his standards, Lawrence starts at 10, Cantwell's on the bench, Cantwell comes on for impact until he improves in that 10 position and shows that Lawrence is not as good as Cantwell. That's the way it's got to go. You can't play them both. I think 2 10s doesn't work. It might work if you've got the players of the talent of Rivaldo and Kaka, but certainly nothing against Tom Lawrence and Todd Cantwell, but they are not Rivaldo and Kaka, for example, and Ronaldinho. But, I think as well, McCausland, for me, has to start out wide. You've got to give he's a young lad, he's a winger, he'll stay out wide, he'll hug the touchline, he'll give you width. Rabbi Matondo is back, yes, and I thought Rabbi today was pretty non-existent, but that is because he isn't fit. It's nothing against Rabbi. He's not a poor player, as we saw. It's just the fact that he's not fully match fit yet. It's going to take time. So until he's fit, you've got to look at McCausland one side, Seamer the other side. Give them some width. Lawrence in behind Danilo. Now, look, Lammers, again today, that chance that he missed, he puts that header either side of the keeper. It's in the back of the net, and we win the game 2-1. But it's just shocking. He is a crap. He's awful. He just is. When he came on, I just thought, what's the point? But then I actually thought about it. I was out walking the dog just, not long before making this video. And I actually started to think about it. And I actually thought, well, you know what? What's Philippe Clement realistically got on the bench that he can turn to instead? He looks along that bench and what does he see? Sam Lammers, Cyril Dessers. What options has he got? He hasn't really got any options. And I think there's a lot of Cyril Dessers that were, a game we were 1-0 down in until the very end, that he won't throw 2 strikers on, that he won't play Dessers because I don't think he rates him. Really don't think he rates him. And I know there's some Rangers fans that have slaughtered me for criticising Cyril Dessers. There's some Rangers fans who have incredibly short memories who were absolutely slagging the lad off and slaughtering him a couple of weeks ago, and he gets a couple of lucky goals and suddenly he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And you're wrong to criticise him, but hey ho, that's football, isn't it? But I think if Zach Lovelace was fit, Zach Lovelace needs to be on the bench. Lovelace is a better striker than both Lammers and Dessers combined, and then doubled and then tripled and quadrupled. He's still better than both of them. So I think once Lovelace is back in January, we have to see Lovelace there. But I do think there is a need to perhaps go and get a striker in January, someone who can back up Danilo or even possibly play up with Danilo, you know, someone like a Lawrence Shankland. And I know that's not a popular opinion with a lot of Rangers fans, but I think Shankland would score goals in this team. I think he'd be very Chris Boyd-like, if I'm being honest. But there's issues there. There is issues there. You know, the fact that we didn't take our chances, the fact that we weren't clinical enough is a big, massive issue. And it is something we need to address. It really is. And I think there is solutions at the club in the short term, you know, with McCausland right, Lawrence in the 10 and Seaman left. That's, you know, probably the best we've got. I thought, you know, the two in front of the back four did what they could. Where's Kieran Dowell? Is he injured again? Is he out again? Has he gone missing? Does Clement not rate him? What's the situation with him? Where is he? You know, I thought he might have been worth a run out today. But I'll be absolutely honest with you, with how crap Sifu was today, and I thought he looked lost today. Bailey Rice. Why not try Bailey Rice? Why not give him a run out? You know, he can't do any worse than Lundstrom. I thought Lundstrom was awful today again, giving the ball away at every opportunity. Some of his passing again, he slowed the game down again. He didn't play as well as he has played in recent games. So to me, why is Bailey Rice not getting a run out? Bailey would not do any worse than those two, I don't think. These are my player ratings from today. And obviously, I know a lot of you will then disagree and slaughter me for these because I always get slaughtered for them. But hey, you know what? Football is a game of opinions. I've only done the start in 11. So Butland 8. I thought Butland was absolutely fantastic yesterday. I thought he was brilliant. I thought the saves he pulled off, he kept us in the game at times. Again, he has been the player of the season, hands down so far. The best signing we've made. He's just been absolutely different class. Tav I gave 7-2 for the penalty, and I didn't think Tav was that bad. I know Tav has been slaughtered by some and kind of lumped in with Goldson, Balogun and Barisic today, but I didn't think Tav was as bad today. So 7 for Tav. And you know me, I'll call Tav out when I need to. Connor Goldson, 5. I thought he was poor, very poor today. 5 is generous. Balogun, 6. I thought he was the best. He was okay. He didn't do too bad. He in some decent interceptions, tried to bring the ball out, did okay. Those 2 chances that he had. Borna, 4. Barisic was shocking, absolutely shocking. Backwards passing, negative, run backwards, turn ball backwards. His delivery was absolutely appalling today. And that shot with his right foot that nearly killed the corner flag, well, says it all, doesn't it, about Borna. Borna back pass, Borna Barisic, Borna bottle job. Borna is awful. Just simply awful. And Ridvan, I can understand Ridvan's frustrations. I know he hasn't perhaps got the frame for Scottish football, but he's still a better option, I think, than Borna Barisic. Lundstrom, 5, Cifuentes, 4. Again, neither of them got to dictate the game. Neither of them controlled the midfield. I thought Leighton Clarkson and the people around him played better than those two. I thought we missed Ryan Jack today. Lundstrom, like I said, gave the ball away too much. Slowed the game down, and Cifuentes was the human crab. I honestly don't know what Cifuentes was doing today. I just genuinely was lost on him today. Seamer, 6, wasn't his usual effective self. Lawrence, I gave 8-2. Lawrence was absolutely outstanding, but not absolutely outstanding. Lawrence was very good again. Campbell, 6. That's a generous 6. Didn't think he was that good, but you know, he was all right. He tried, but you know, look, he's not a diver. That was a foul. Let's get over that. Danilo, 6. I just thought he was ineffective because he wasn't given enough options, enough service. He had to come deep too often, go out wide to find the ball. And, you know, that's not what you want. You want the striker in the middle. You want the striker to gamble. And I think there's times when we put the ball in the box, we didn't gamble, didn't follow in shots, didn't gamble on things. And I think that's something else we've got to do. And that's why we're missing perhaps an out-and-out striker, you know, someone who's going to score us 20, 25 goals a season, which is a problem we've still got. We haven't answered. You know, we haven't had when was the last time we had a striker who scored us 20, 25 goals a season? And don't say Alfie. Alfie never scored 20 goals in the league, ever. In his time at Rangers. Never. Was it Boydie? I don't know. There we go. Bring back Super Ali. Anyway, look, it's going to be a busy week. It's a busy week for Rangers coming up. We've obviously got Aris Limassol, or as that I can't remember who commented this on my videos, Arsol Plimsoll, on Thursday. That is the next game up for Rangers in the Europa League, in what is, you know, another must-win game. A game, you know, we've got to go out there and win to make sure that Betis game is, you know, it is the decider to see who wins the group, but also, you know, to make sure we actually do get that second place. We finally put to bed that second place in that group. You know, that obviously is Thursday. Therefore means we will play Sunday. Against not today, again, a Sunday game coming up for Rangers, where we will face St Mirren at Ibrox. Again, a game we've got to win, a must-win game after today's performance. A real game, you know, you've got to go out there and try. St Mirren are not a bad side, they're not a good side, but we've got to go out and play a little bit better. That's awful English, Owen. We've got to play better, and we've got to put the ball in the back of the bloody net on a more regular basis. Simple as, guys. Simple as. Football's a simple game, just made hard by certain individuals. Look, today wasn't great. It wasn't great. And, in the cold light of day, with reflecting on things, yes, there was a lot that we need to look at. And we are very frustrated as a fan group that, again, there's an opportunity to really close the gap upon them. Are we any worse off than we were on Friday night before Saturday's games? No, we're not. We're in exactly the same position where if we win our game in hand, the lead is down to 5. If we beat them at the Piggery, it's down to 2. It's not over. It isn't over. Despite what people may say, it isn't over yet. As Philippe says, it is a marathon, not a sprint. And we're in that position now. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, whether it's this morning or this afternoon or even this evening, whenever you've picked it up. Obviously, please continue to help the channel to grow. We're on 3,811 subs at time of recording. We want to get to 4K by the end of the year. So please, obviously, hit that sub. It is a free channel, guys. You don't get charged for any content. We're not a Patreon channel. We're not going to charge you for content. If you want to pay some money towards the channel, that's 99p to join. It does obviously help fund the channel. Super thanks. Also, you can press that. Give a little bit of cash to the channel. It does help to run the channel. Once again, guys, on the way out, 2 things I always need from you. Number 1, smash the like. It helps the video and on the algorithm, whatever that may mean. And number 2, remember always, we are the people.